Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sam.
And we're Envy Board Gaming. And today, we're going to be taking a look at the two new expansions to Viscounts of the West Kingdom, designed by Shem Phillips and S.J. McDonald. And the art is done by the Micho and published by Garfield Games and I believe Renegade Games as well. So we're just going to be taking a look at the two new expansions, which is Gates of Gold and Keeper of Keys, right? So Nick and Vic have already reviewed the base game. So if you guys want to hear about how to play the base game, go check out their video. I'm just going to do a quick little brief overview of what each expansion adds, and we'll come back and give you guys our final thoughts. Okay, so to give you just a quick, brief overview of each expansion, I know I did an unboxing. I'm just going to tell you how these new components are going to work. So in the game, right, we'll start with Keeper of Keys. So in the game, you're going to get these three new public buildings, right? And anybody can build these. And they're going to be available at the beginning of the game. And each one of them is going to give you a special little ability. So depending on which one you build, you're going to have access to an immediate benefit as well as an ongoing ability that you're going to have throughout the entire game. And the way that these are going to work is that after you build a building of the same type, in the future, you can replace that building of yours with one of these public buildings. You just have to pay the price here in the top left, and you're going to get the benefit afterwards. And each one of them are going to be worth victory points depending on which one you build. Okay, so that's going to be something right off the get-go during setup, and it's going to be the same every game. So if I take a look at these real quick, this one's going to give you a chance to get a hero card, as well as, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, as well as always have a permanent criminal symbol. This one's going to give you a chest, I'll talk about it in a little bit, and give you the option to flip over a deed or debt every time you gain a hero or trash a hero. And this one is whenever there's a collision, you can ignore one criminal and draw one card, and it also will let you flip a deed or debt immediately when you get it. So what's nice about this one, so this game, this expansion is going to come with these new indented player boards, which is really nice so that you don't have to worry about bumping a table and your corruption and virtue tracker sliding around. That's really nice. Also, it's going to come with these new player starting cards. So as you can see, they're all halves. So 3.5, 9.5, 5.5. And essentially what this is going to be is you're going to start on the inside track. Okay, so these inside tracks are going to be in between 1 and 2, 3 and 4, that kind of stuff. 9, you know what I'm saying. All right, so there's some different starting cards. Okay, but the big thing that this one's going to add is going to be these chests. Okay, and these chests are going to be brought into the game through town folks, and heroes, and it's going to have these new little lock symbols that you see here. So that is going to correlate to these. And when you gain one of these chests, what you're going to do is you're going to choose a slot on your player board, and you're going to place this under it in these little notches. And each of these are going to correlate to a different symbol. So if I have a monastery symbol here, right, as a benefit, I'm going to also have a hammer and one of those little, I don't know what they're called, I can't remember, the little chevron symbol things there. You might also have where you get extra bags, or you're going to get resources like coins, or there's more symbols, right? You're going to get stone, that kind of stuff. So you're going to get a lot of things from those, and you can do that 3 times. And at the end of the game, they're going to be worth victory points based on how many you have. So 2, 5, or 9. All right, so that's pretty much the main thing that's going to be coming out of this. The other thing that's going to come with this expansion is that now all those hero cards that you had during setup where you would just randomly get one, now those are going to create a little market, and you're going to be able to earn heroes whenever you see this symbol here with the green and everything. So you're going to actually be able to earn a hero and be able to get more and more heroes instead of just one like before. Okay, so that's what Keepers of Keys is going to bring to the game. With the Gates of Gold, now you're going to have access to a lot more scoring abilities, end-game scoring, as well as just additional abilities to use throughout the game. So the one big thing is going to be these monastery boards that you're going to get, and everybody is going to, it's going to be a little bit different based on the color. And at the beginning, everybody's going to have access to this ability to when you go to higher, you can actually pay for a King's Order card instead. And those are going to be important because one of the big things is going to be these outsider cards. Now, I'll come to that in a second. But as you are getting these manuscripts, as soon as you get one of a specific color, you're going to unlock a new ability. So you could pay 3 resources in order to rearrange the cards on your player board. You could pay 2 coins in order to draw a card, right? Or you could pay 1 resource in place of a coin, right? So they're going to give you this access to additional abilities that you're going to be able to do throughout the game on your turn, okay? So that's going to be the big thing there. The next thing is these King Orders cards. So everybody's going to start with one, and these are kind of unique because whenever they come off the board, you don't actually put them in your discard pile. You're going to put them back in this draw pile, and you're going to earn an outsider for free. And these outsider cards are going to be interesting because they're all going to give you victory points at the end of the game with their own little unique, requirements in order to earn those victory points. So this is going to be a great source of additional endgame victory points. And another way that you can get them, or you can benefit from these with this King's Order, is that if you ever use an ability in order to essentially trash it, then you're going to yield to dismiss a outsider for free, and they're going to give you a bunch of resources, but typically they're either going to have corruption or debt cards that are going to come with them when you dismiss them. All right, so that's how that's all going to work in your game. Some might give you end game abilities like flipping there. The next thing you're going to see is that with your buildings, you're now going to have access to these specialized building cards and these diverse building cards. Okay, so if you build 3 of the same or 3 different buildings, at the beginning of the game, you're going to have one of these picked randomly, and the first person to build 3 different buildings is going to earn this card, which is going to give them an ongoing ability as well as victory points at the end of the game. And so you're going to be able to do all kinds of things, and as you can see, it's going to revolve around the King's Order cards or having a purple card on your player board at the time to use that ability. Here, with the specialized, you're wanting 3 of the same. And again, these are going to be kind of focused around whenever you gain or dismiss either a outsider or a King's Order card. Okay, so that's going to be the main thing that comes from this Gates of Gold. Is kind of working around these new found abilities that you're going to be able to earn as you're playing the game. And the only other thing that comes in this as well is that now, instead of having your usual, hey, when you get to the center, whoever has the most, you're going to have an increased hand size. Now you can have a random one at the beginning of setup where you might get access to more symbols, or you might be able to have an ongoing ability where whenever you dismiss, you're going to gain a corruption or a criminal symbol as well as 1 corruption. When you shuffle, you gain a resource, or your Viscount gets to move an additional 1 space if you want. All right, so that's what you're going to be getting out of these expansions. So let's go ahead and take it back up top and give you guys our final thoughts. All right, so that's a little bit of what you're going to get from each of the expansions. First off, we already know Nick and Vic rate this game, the base game, very highly. Both of them rate that as an 8.9. So very highly. I believe it's just a little bit below Paladins for Nick. I'm not sure if Vic likes this one better than Paladins or not. But, so real quick, just based on the base game, what would your score for the base game be, just out of curiosity? We're not doing a review on that, but what would it be? Just so they get an idea of where you're standing.
I'm going to disappoint.
I figured you would.
I'm going to give it like a 6, the base game.
Yeah, Samantha's not a big fan of the game.
Yeah.
And so it is got a little bit more going on to it.
I have other games, Shem Phillips games, that I like more.
Right. Okay.
So we'll just say that.
And for me, with Viscounts, I believe this is up there with Paladins. Unlike Nick, I like Paladins better. I would give this probably an 8.5. I think sometimes it can drag a little bit. And that's the thing for me. At 2 players is not too bad. But 8.5 is what I would give it for the base game alone. So with that being said, you kind of get a base of where we're coming from when we hit these expansions. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put this down while we talk about the expansions. And so we have the 2. So let's go ahead and first talk about the Keeper of Keys, probably the smaller of the 2. So with the Keeper of Keys, you have the chests, you have the new player cards for the setup, you have the new public buildings, as well as now the heroes become a more active part in the game because now you can acquire more than one hero, whereas before you would start with one hero in the setup.
Yeah.
All right, so that adds a little bit new stuff. It definitely had the least amount of content between the 2. You could see that during the unboxing that I did. But what was your take from the Keeper of Keys expansion?
The Keeper of Keys, I actually liked. I did enjoy the fact that the heroes were more active in like the game, that you were able to use them for special abilities, and then also like points at the end of the game,
right?
Too. So I did like that because I felt like otherwise.
Well, the heroes didn't give you points at the end of the game. You're thinking of Gates of Gold.
Oh, those are 2 different ones.
We'll come back to that. The chests do. The chests that you get will give you games or points at the end of the game, and the public buildings will give you points.
But the heroes do give you the special abilities in the game. So
they're a little bit more powerful than your normal town folk.
Yes, and so because I did have like a couple of those that I got throughout the game, which I thought was cool. So yeah.
So you'd say the heroes was your favorite part from that one?
Yeah, I mean the chests, I used it. I don't think I used it as much as you did, but I thought it was nice. It gave you extra stuff when it would give you an incentive to play a certain card in that spot to be able to get the extra stuff.
Yeah, for me the chest was the most fun because then it makes what I'm doing in my board a little bit more. It was already kind of like, okay, I want to get the right symbols, but now I'm even more thinking about my gameplay. Like, do I just go hardcore into loading up the castle and get the chests that kind of increase that ability, that little chevron thing? Right. Or do I go for the monasteries and, get extra and get the ones that give me more symbols, those different chests? Maybe they'll give me resources, maybe they'll give me extra symbols, maybe they'll allow me to do different things. And so I like the chests the most out of this expansion. The public buildings are nice. I think for me, I would go for I personally am like, okay, getting at the end of the game, I'm going to start going for public buildings if they're still available because that is a lot of points. However, the one might give you a skull at all times. So it's nice to have that wild icon, but then you're also pushing that corruption. The other one makes you ignore one, which is nice. And so, but the buildings themselves are worth a lot of points, as well as you have to take yours off and you kind of lose those bonuses that you get for the ones that you replace. So I do like maybe that mad dash at the end, like, okay, which ones are available? I'm going to go for them and try to get the big one and get 15 points. That's nice. The heroes, yeah, it's nice. I wasn't super overwhelmed with it because I don't know. I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. Yeah, it's a bunch of cards that were sitting in the box before. Now we actually get to play with them. So, so for this one, did you have any negatives? I guess I kind of hit on about the heroes, but did you have any negatives for this expansion?
Not really.
Okay.
I think.
So, what would you score the Keeper of Keys on its own?
On its own?
Yeah, just for an expansion, obviously.
I would say probably like a 7 on its own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm a little bit higher. I'm at like a 7.5, 7. Well, no, I'll say 7.8. 7.8 because I think I do like the chess making certain symbols more powerful, depending on how it's going to help you kind of hone in your strategy. I do like those public buildings. That it could be a lot of points. I mean, in one game I had 2 of them, and it was 22 points. And like I said, the heroes are interesting. I wasn't as fascinated about that really. So I'm about a 7.8. I think for that expansion, I think it was the chess really carried it. But between the two, this one does, in my opinion, feel like it adds
more.
The least. Well, the chess is pretty big. The chess is a pretty big thing for me. So now let's go ahead and we'll transition into the Gates of Gold. All right. So in the Gates of Gold, you had the King's Order cards, the Outsider cards. You had the manuscript board there. So now you had the access to additional abilities to utilize throughout the game if you bought the right color and utilized it. It took advantage of that. And then you had the diversified building bonuses and the specialized building bonuses. And
I guess there is a lot more. Yeah.
Right. And you had the new variant of changing what the center of the castle was going to give you. Because before it was just an extra card limit. Like your hand limit was a little higher. Now it could be an extra symbol, or it could be extra movement with your Viscount, that kind of stuff. So looking at that, what are your pros for the Gates of Gold expansion? What did you like?
Gates of Gold, I liked the Outsiders, even though they did sometimes they would give you corruption. I still like them, because like
if you dismiss them.
Yeah. And so I liked that they did give you points at the end. That's what I was thinking of.
They give it. That's a good way to get points.
Yes. So I felt like that did help at the end of the game. And then, like one of mine was like adding an extra ribbon, to the colors.
Oh yeah, that's one, yeah.
So I thought that, just little things like that I think was cool. And then I'm trying to think. I feel like that was my favorite part of that expansion.
The Outsiders? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the King's Order is a big way to get those. Like, that's going to be your main way to be able to get them fast. There's going to be cards that could allow you, but there's so many cards in the game now, especially if you're putting both expansions together, it can be like, good luck trying to find a card that's going to give you a purple, and so I liked with that. What was it? There was with the bonuses also, it kind of gives you an incentive to get those purples or those King's Orders. So like if there's times when it's like, oh, if you have a purple on your player board or the King's Order on your player board at this specific time, then you get this extra bonus. So there's kind of like an incentive there. So there's just little extra added abilities here and there for everything.
Yeah.
I did like the Outsiders the most with this because there is a potential to where if you get a bunch of those, let's say you're like, I don't want to buy any cards. You get your hand where you want it to be, and you kind of like, okay, I want to get purple cards. I'm getting towards the end. I want to start getting these King's Orders. I can get that. I like that now the manuscripts, if you get the different colors, you're going to be able to have new abilities. Now I can spend 2 coins to draw a card, or now I can spend whatever it is, a coin instead of a resource, or a resource in place of a coin. That kind of stuff.
It does give you the ability to do it. Like, I don't think I implemented it as much as I probably could have, but I felt like it did give you extra stuff, like more options.
There are a lot. There's access to a lot more abilities, I guess. I think with the going for the center. Now if I get 3 of the same building, I get a special ability. If I get 3 of the different buildings, if I'm the first to get 3 different buildings, I get a special ability. Those kinds of things. And so I really like the Outsiders. So what would you give a score for the Gates of Gold expansion?
I feel like I would give it a 7. I think they're equal for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I like this one a little bit more. So I'm going to say an 8 for this expansion. I think they're both... With both of them in the game, the table does get a little tight. You got a lot more space because now you got new markets for different cards. You got all this stuff. You got the king, like all that stuff. I think they also, because now you have so many other things that you can focus on, you're a little less focused on endgame. Right? Now if I'm playing with both of them at the same time, I got the chests I got to go for. I got these, I can get victory points. I'm not too focused on maybe my deeds and debts, like, I can get points here and there instead of like, I need to I need resources this way, or I need, victory points with the, there's other ways. So I think with these, it does slow the game down.
It does, yeah.
I think that with these expansions, it does make it a little longer, which I already thought Viscounts could at times take a little while unless you were really, intentional about like getting to the end of the game.
Right.
But if people don't collide very often with the corruption and virtue, you might not be going through it very fast. And so I think this does make the game longer, which I don't like. I do like the added goodies that it brings into the game. But yeah, I mean, I think they're good. I think it adds some value to the game. Just know that if you're throwing them both in there, the game's probably going to last a little longer. Yeah. Especially if you want to experience these expansions. I mean, I could completely ignore them and it'd end a lot faster. But if I'm like, I want to go over and do this, I want to go over and do this, I want these buildings. I'm not hardly focused on how many deed or debt cards are left in the pile. I feel like there's so much other stuff I need to do. I'm not thinking about, rushing the end of the game. So I do think that's a negative against these because it does slow the game down.
Yeah, it does. Well, and I think because you could play with just one or the other. Right?
Right, yeah, you can just do one if you want.
So, I mean, I guess if you wanted to add just a little bit.
Right, and I might recommend just doing one at a time.
Yeah, that's what I would recommend because I feel like it does stretch it out.
Right, and I think when you add in both, you're probably more likely to miss something. Because I feel like there's so much. Like, I have these extra symbols I got here. Not only am I unlocking symbols here, then I got extra abilities under my board. I got extra abilities that I unlocked with my manuscripts. I got extra stuff from the buildings that I built, even the public buildings or my diversity or specialized. You have so much more stuff
it's a lot
to look at. And it's cool because you have so many options. But man, you're going to forget something. Yeah. There's no way.
Well, and with that, I feel like, for me, having AP, for me, you give me way more options of things that I can do. And if you're a person like me that has AP, you're like, and then you'll take your turn and then you'll be like, maybe I should have did that instead of this because I have all these options of things that I can do. Maybe I should have played it this way instead of that way. And I mean, I like that it gives you more options of how to play, but it's just, it can be like a lot and you could miss stuff like you said. So
right. But I genuinely feel like already in Viscounts, I feel like whichever direction you chose to go, like maybe you went castle and just overloaded, or you went manuscripts, or whatever your strategy was, now you add even more stuff and it's like, whoa. Yeah. Like it opens up so many options. I like it. I really do like it. It does slow the game down. So if you don't like for it to be, if you already thought Viscounts was a little long or overstayed its welcome, I don't think this is going to help. But I think they're good. I was a little concerned. I'll talk about production just real briefly. I was a little bit concerned about inserts. I have not had good experience with the collector's boxes for paladins or for architects. I was very disappointed in those. Already went into this collector's box, and if you watch the unboxing, I was already skeptical. And I had my concerns. Now, I think I was wrong. I had stored it vertically. I thought, this is going to be a disaster. And it seems to be fine, okay? Things might get a little disheveled, but ultimately they stay where they're supposed to be. It doesn't get super messy. So I take back that criticism during my unboxing. I was wrong. I'm happy with this insert now. The only thing is obviously where you put your player colors, you're just digging them out and there's not enough room to really include a bag. And so you're like, that's the longest part of setup is trying to dig all those pieces out. So that's the only thing I have about the insert. Otherwise, I think they're solid expansions. I think they're good. If you're a big fan of Viscounts, I think this is something you should explore because I think it's just going to add even more depth to the game. But again, with that depth is going to come, I think, extra time. I think it's going to add time to the game, just because there's so much. And if you just focus on that one thing, you're going to miss a bunch of expansion. That's my opinion. So, but I do like it. So those are our opinions. That's our scores. Still a great game. Just I think something to be aware of if you're a big fan of Viscounts, know what you're getting into, and maybe you want just one instead of both. But yeah, let us know. What is your favorite game of the West Kingdom series? And is this an expansion that you're looking forward to picking up? And which one, if you had to only pick one, which one would you want? So yeah, let us know down in the comments. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and click the little bell icon so you get a notification every single time we post a video. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Bye.